Okay, now, bad hospital versus good hospital, what you will find. What I found is the bad hospitals were places where they basically stored patients, babysat them, while their meds were being adjusted or whatever reason they were there, but there was no education of the patients. There was no therapy, no family therapy, no involvement. The staff was not trained in that area very well. The staff was basically lazy. They would pass out, like, there was this hospital I was at a couple times. It was in a medical hospital, psychiatric floor. And to do our education, they would just like pass out papers. Pass out a little sheet of paper and expect us to read it. And we just sat around. And then the nurses would go and sit around in their own little cubicle. And it was, I mean, the boredom was more, the lack of stimulation was more depressing and sedating than the Risperidol or the Zyprexa I was on. My mom, the psychiatrist I had then, that group finally got sick of it, and they got together with some other psychiatrists, and they opened their own hospital. It was run by psychiatrists, and that's where I would go after that, and it was like night and day. And I'll describe the good hospital in a minute here. One time I spent a very short period of time after I had been depressed for a very, very long time, and it's a very small hospital, small town, small floor, psychiatric, like maybe 4 people on it. And this one doctor kept pushing ECT on me, and I kept saying no. I mean, and the nurses would come in, and there was this one nurse, and they would ask me, pushing this ECT, and I kept saying no. And this one nurse said to me, with this tone of voice, "I can't make you want to get better." And so from that minute, that pissed me off. So I at least got motivated enough to do what I was supposed to do to get out of there, because I was like, these people are crazy. And I later found out that that doctor was doing some kind of study with ECT, and he pushed everybody. He gave everybody ECT. I did later eventually get ECT, but that kind of attitude was just blew me out of the water. I can't make you want to get better, because I wouldn't get ECT. And so a good place, a good hospital I was at, was every minute of your day is accounted for. You're in some kind of group therapy, group education, one-on-one with staff, meetings with the social worker and family, your meals, and time for journaling. And in the education groups, everybody's required, and you sit down and they teach you with boards and and write, and like a class, and the groups, and the staff was educated in the pharmacology, in the biology of the psychiatric disorders and the patients that they dealt with, and they were very caring, upbeat, not in an annoying way. really liked what they were doing. And their focus the entire time is how you're going to cope outside when you're discharged. How you're going to keep from coming back. We like you, but we don't want you back. We want you out there living your life. That was their focus from the minute you stepped it through the door. So that's what you would see in a good psychiatric hospital. And what to expect if you've never been hospitalized before. First of all, if you go through the emergency room, you have to remember, like a hospital emergency room, medical hospital, you have to remember that they do deal with psychiatric people in major crisis, but they are not experts in psychiatry. So they can't know some of the more subtleties. Like one time I was waiting to be transported to the psychiatric hospital, and I was waiting in a room. I was manic, euphoric type manic, with a little bit of irritability going on, and they had me in this room, and the doors were shut, and it was bothering me. I felt closed in, and I was bored because I was manic, and I was bored to death. I wanted to walk around and stuff and check things out. And I went to open the door to the hallway, and it was locked. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, they've locked me in. And I started freaking out, pulling on the door, and, like, you don't lock a manic person. The door to the nurse's station was open, but you just don't do that. I mean, I wasn't that bad. She could have just said, don't leave, but I guess how is she supposed to know? I just wanted to go outside and get a breath of fresh air or something. And when I was like yanking at the door going, wanting out, I heard her in the nurse's station, my nurse going, she's escalating, security guards are coming, and I'm going, oh my God, I just, anyway, I think that in a psychiatric place that they would know better to do that. So then, like I said, the security guard had to, like, stand with me everywhere. I did get to go outside, though, with him. When you're admitted, don't be offended when they want you to relinquish stuff. It's not that, it may not be that you're gonna stab somebody with a pencil or a pen, but somebody else might find that pencil, and somebody else might be inclined to violence and homicide or suicide. And so they're required to take away anything that could be sharp object, or anything somebody could cut off their circulation, or like hang themselves with, or so no shoelaces, no belts, some things like perfumes and stuff that have alcohol in them, and no pocket knives. And I even didn't have a pencil or pen without asking, and no ties on your jackets and stuff like that. No electronic stuff, I guess, because they don't want you calling out and I don't know, or it getting stolen, you complaining. So I'm going to have to move on to another video to finish this up. I have just one little part to end with.